Hey folks, welcome back. My name is Krishna, and in this video, we're going to take a look at how you can create a pretty replicatable front or back view of a tire with tire treads. So let's start off by making a brand new layer. First and foremost, we're going to then choose our rectangle tool in Photoshop's toolbar. With that selected, you want to make sure that fill is set to none, and you want to make sure that your stroke is set to some specific color. Now, I always like to work with the color that is not black, just because I want to have the flexibility of changing it to black when I'm done with the everything. But for right now, I'm just going to use this brown. I'm going to make sure that my stroke is set to 2 points. You can adjust that to taste. What we'll do is we'll just simply make our tire. And then when you create this rectangle shape, you'll see that you have 4 small circles that are on the inside. If you click on any one of those circles and drag inward towards the center of the shape, you can see that you're getting these rounded edges, which is pretty cool. And that's actually going to be on its own layers. So you can see that it's basically a shape. I can move this shape with the move tool into position. I'm not going to attach it directly. I'm just going to give a little bit of gap so I can add an actual axle. Let's go ahead and rasterize this layer. We'll right click, we'll choose rasterize layer, and we'll label this as tire. The next step is to add the tread. And my recommendation would be to look at various tire manufacturers' websites, and you can see examples of tread patterns. I'm going to create a very simple tread pattern here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off on a new layer, and I'll just kind of move this down so you can see it. This is going to be my tread pattern. Just something super duper simple. And I'll now make a copy of this. I'll hit Command J to make a copy of that pattern. I'll hit Command J a few more times. I'll merge those layers together by shift selecting them and hitting Command E. I'll duplicate this compilation right here by hitting Command J. And I'll hit Command J one more time. And you want this pattern to go a little bit beyond the actual tire, and it'll make a little bit more sense here in a few minutes. So I've got this pattern here. I'm going to hit Command J to make a copy so I can add a second column of my tread. If I wish to, I can actually flip this. Now, in my last video on keyboard shortcuts, I talk about making custom keyboard shortcuts for commonly used tasks. And one of those keyboard shortcuts that I've assigned custom in my Photoshop toolkit is hitting Command F, and that flips it horizontally. So what I'll do is I'll flip it and I'll just offset it just a smidge, like so. Next, what I can do is I can shift select those layers, merge them by hitting Command E, and then I'm going to make a copy, Command J, and then I'll just merge those layers again, and I'll just position it like so. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to have a little bit of that knobby show up. So if you want to have a smooth set of tires without any kind of indentation, you can just use the lasso tool and completely trim this off, like this edge that's on the top here. But I want to actually add those little indentations. So what I'll do is I'll just drop the transparency on my tire layer to say about maybe 50% so I can see what I'm working with. And then what I'll do is I'll call this layer tread. On the tread layer, what I'll do is I'll just remove all of these edges up on the top, and I'll just fill this in with my brush tool, like so. And I'll repeat the same steps at the bottom here. Just basically make a cut. We just try to neaten that up a little bit. And there we go. We've got our tread. And I also want to go ahead and get rid of the areas where the tread is intersecting the tire. So on the tire layer now, what I'll simply do is I'll just use the lasso tool and hit Command X to reveal the tread. There you go. And the last step here is I'm going to bring the opacity back to 100%. I'll merge the tire and tread layers together. And then just to finish this off, to give this tire a little bit more depth, what I'll do is I'll use the magic wand tool and I'll click somewhere inside the tire. I'll make a new layer above it. I'll use my brush tool to make a set of horizontal lines that are progressively going to get closer and closer to each other, like so. Now I can deselect by hitting Command D, use my magic wand tool, select the region that's below the lines that I've just created, and I'll hit Option Delete. And what this does now is it gives me a tire that has some shading on it. And I can now merge those two layers together. I can call it tire, and then I can make a copy. So I can hit Command J, and I can just move this to the opposite side, like so, and I'm going to flip this horizontally. You can do that by hitting Command T and right-clicking and choose Flip Horizontal. But again, like I've mentioned before, I've got a keyboard shortcut called Command F that automatically does that for me. That one's a really good one to assign. So there you go. We've got our tires. And the last thing just to finish this effect out is I'll just go ahead and convert them to black by hitting Command U and changing the lightness all the way over to the left. So if you found this tip to be useful, stick around for the next video where I talk about how you can use the techniques that I'm showing you here to create a tire in 3/4 front or 3/4 back views, regardless of how it's oriented. So stick around. I hope you found some value in this video. Give it a thumbs up so that folks can find it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.